You are not going to believe what we're going to be doing today. I know, it's the middle of winter. There is snow everywhere. But that's not going to stop me doing bonsai. So let's enjoy the snow, but better still, enjoy some great bonsai work here in the Bonsai Retreat. Hi, it's Xavier. Welcome to my Bonsai Retreat. And as a part of these winter specials, I'm bringing you way back into the middle of summer. We're now going through a 27, 28, 29 degree heat wave. So get your jumper on, get your hot drink. If you need to cuddle up next to someone, do so and enjoy a bit more of summer pruning, because we've got apple, we've got hazel, we've got Italian alder. We might even whack into a quick Chinese elm just to keep you warm. Now, most of you will already know that I take my annual retreat up in the Orkney, Stronsay, way up northern far reaches of Scotland, and that's the place where I got the pips for all these little apples. And they've been growing on for many years, and despite their small stature, they're actually sort of 8, 9, maybe 10 years old. Now, I'm going to be doing pruning now, and just to give you a frame of reference, we're actually in the last week of July. Truthfully, we're well past the longest day of the year, and many of you will know, if you're going to be doing pruning on your fruiting varieties, normally once you start going past that longest day of the year, the tree is now started to conserve, setting its buds, its flowering buds for the following year. We're well past that, so I'm not expecting to be getting any flowering next year as a result of the work I'm doing this year. So I've had such great good growth, all I'm going to do is start cutting these down. But that's the warning I'll give. If you start leaving your pruning into the middle of summer, middle of July, whenever that is for you, then the chances are you are going to be cutting off those buds that are going to be your flowers for next year. Now, this first one we're going to do is actually been designed and grown with the help of my granddaughter Zita, who you'll have seen in a couple of family episodes. There's a pretty notable one there in which she judges just how good or who wins between her aunts and uncle. So we really don't need to do very much with this. We've got some nice little branching here, 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 here and here. Our only real issue is the length up here. So I propose to do just the one thing, and I'm sure it should be relatively easy to guess. I like this one coming up, and I could cut there, but I don't think that's really in keeping. What I am going to do is reduce the length there, but take that off there. Got a little bud in there which we don't want. Take that off. Bear in mind, I want this to be the apical region, I want this to grow out. I actually don't want that. I'm going to shorten that one off. A couple of the bigger leaves off. And for me, that's probably about it. Relatively straightforward. I'm going to do 2 or 3 more like that, and then we'll swap and do something different. But before I do that, I've got my soapy water spray, because I know that there's all sorts of buglets infecting this. Again, we've got another one here. It's got a little woolly aphid. Interesting, very long shape. I'm not quite sure where, but I think we're going to go more, dare I say the word, literati on something like this. But I am just going to try and define. That's probably as far as I'm going to go, actually. A little bud back there could be useful. Again, I might actually look at this in more detail in the late winter when I do a bit of bud selection. This one here, a little bit of interesting movement in there. And what I say to you, none of these had their movement wired, just the way they grew. And I've got another set, 6 or 7 down there I might show you. They're all growing the same way, very, very wiggly and coiled up. Quite interesting. Again, more aphids. Get rid of them. Fairly clean. Now I could I could actually remove that totally and just try and follow the line of this. I don't think I will. I think what I will do though is just take the top off a bit. Probably I want the buds that are right down here actually. So let's do that. And this is definitely an example of where I'm now cutting off any growth that potentially would produce your flowers. Let's just shorten that one. I actually think I want to shorten that one even more. There's some bud points down there. Very interesting shape. This one has a really interesting tangled root structure down there, and that's what I like. So all we want to do really is actually probably not very much with this, to be fair. That's probably going out a little bit further than I want, so I might just shorten that. Remove a few. Probably don't want that upward growing bud there, because we've actually got something nice from the sides there. Here we've got 1, 2, so let's just take away the upward one. Notice the leaves, they're all discoloured, so there's sort of funguses or problems with these. A nice little bud down here which I'd probably quite like. So I'm actually going to remove that whole upper section there. And with that in mind, I might just remove that. And there we go. Okay, well that's 4 of the apples done. I've got another 12 or so to do there. Won't put you through the ordeal of that. Very straightforward, and these will now get put semi-shaded area, and I probably won't look at them again until till late winter actually, so that's going to be in 2025. Let's hit hazel, shall we? Another interesting large leaf species that I'm really starting to enjoy working with. Now this one has been the one that's really sort of got my interest going, and it's definitely got some very, very interesting root growth up there. Certainly not conventional, but draws the eye, and sometimes with bonsai that's what you're looking at, something that's going to draw your eye, even if it's sometimes the negative. Gets your attention, gets you thinking. But we've got some basic structure growing up here and up here. All I really want to do is just do some basic sort of pruning to profile really. Just reduce some of this growth. Just so what we've actually got for the rest of the year is a nice looking bonsai to be. Is that the best way of describing it? It also means I've got an opportunity to just watch out for any bugs that may be there. Got this growing up from here. I really don't think I want it, so let's not waste energy on it. Got this great big lump here, so let's get rid of it. Nice concave hole in there so that it'll roll over and heal nicely. Put the paste in there, cut putty or whatever. Probably fronts in there somewhere, I would imagine. A couple of bigger leaves, let's just reduce size of those. Little growth here and here, we'll get rid of the inner one, so we've got an idea of what's there. We've got something growing up on the inside there. We'll leave that for now. Coming up, probably a little bit too tall, which would suggest we definitely want all that height up there. And probably that is all I'm going to do with that. I think this has got a lot of potential for the future, and again, it's not a variety I'd have ever considered. Hazel. I have noticed that when you keep doing the leaf cutting, partial leaf defoliation, and obviously keep it in a small pot and keep the roots tight, the leaves do reduce in size, most definitely. No sign of bugs or anything, but let's just pump it up for the rest of the summer and keep that one. Do need to put some bone meal in there, but let's have another look at one that I got from my nursery bed. You saw me dig it up in an earlier video, I think. Pulled it out earlier this year into this pond basket. Definitely firmly in there, which is good, and I'm going to do exactly the same. Now have a look at the difference in leaf sizes on these. These are great big leaves in comparison to what I've pruned off. Half the size, amazing. So yeah, don't be disheartened. When you first start, this size, as you get them down into smaller pots, good pruning practices, you can reduce those leaves at least by half. I'm still watching Hazel grow. There are some varieties of deciduous that you can prune a lot later through August and you'll get that next flush out. I know for a fact that linden, small leaf lime, if you leave them pruning into the sort of mid-July, you're unlikely to get that next flush in time for the autumn hardening off. So we've got branches up here and here. I just need to, really what I'm doing, as I say, is making it so it actually looks quite nice for visitors to the garden, to be fair. So where I've got little buds coming out that I don't want, I remove them. Reduce the size of this leaf. And you know, this is still well and truly development, so I'm really not concerned with that sort of secondary or tertiary ramification at all. This is what I want, primary branches. This is what I'm trying to grow right now. Looks like there's some little bugs underneath, little white eggs. Always keep an eye out for them. But I think the reason why I'm really quite keen to observe these, if you look, the little green buds there is what I'm trying to get to shoot out, and over the next few months they are quite swelled and green. They're not in that sort of dormant state. I'd say they're ready to burst forth, so it could already be looking to push that growth already, which is why I'm quite happy to prune back on these. And again, the leaf reduction is another way to convince the tree to actually push those buds out. So I'm going to see how it reacts. Definitely these upper leaves are very, very infected with eggs, so give this a good spray. There we go. Okay, and that's it for this one. Shall we have a look at an Italian Alder next? Because I did do something interesting with that. Do you know what? I think we've had enough sunshine for now. Why don't we scoot back to the reality of the world and have a look at the first subscriber photos for 2025. And actually, as we move into 2025, I'm going to give a big shout out to Steve Kemp and Kay, his loving wife, who sent me through some pictures that Steve took of his prize bonsai, I think while he was on a show in Camborne, Cornwall. But hey, let's crack on. Let's have a look at these subscriber photos for 2025. Big shout out to Steve Kemp. Keep going at those bonsais. So anyway, massive thank you to everyone who sent some photos out. You all know, love to see what you're doing with your bonsai. So the details for where you can send photos, just go to the description at the end of the video and send them through to me, and I'll do my best to at least put up one or two maybe even 3 or 4 of your photos. Anyway, let's head back to those summer pruning, shall we? Much warmer than this. Yeah, now I had this it was quite an odd Italian alder. In fact, I may have a little bit of footage which I'll zap over to now.
You just deleted it.
This is how it's doing since then, and got this interesting growth up here. The problem with it is it comes from right beneath, and every part of me says really I should remove it, but I have got a little idea to just try and wire a potential semi-apical region for this as a semi-cascade. So let's get some wire on there and then induce some interesting movement, shall we? And the thing is that what you want is, if I get buds coming out this way, potentially something here, or maybe even if I get something here, then I may be able to disguise where that is. But either way, that's giving me a potential apex for this. There you go, it's very, very interesting. But what we'll do is I'll just prune the top off there. Not worried about the leaf there. I've got what will be a nice horizontal branch there. Really, that's all I want to do, is just try and go for lower branches that are going to take the cascade down. And again, the reason why I'm more confident that I can get away with this later pruning is if you look in here, the next buds are already greened up and starting to swell. So the chances are, by doing this pruning, I'm actually going to get that flush that I want. I won't want anything upwards, so let's get rid of that. Get rid of that. 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 And that. And that gives us that flat pad. I'll do the same up there, and we'll see if these flush out. Definitely an interesting potential design. I quite like that. Very unusual for Italian alder, definitely. Should we move on to something else? Okay, well, I found myself a couple of hornbeams. Now, hornbeams are ones that often you can prune later into that late July, midsummer, and still safely get an extra flush out. But either way, I still want to cut some of this growth back. Put some wire on this, and I do have to watch out because there's definitely been some growth, and it's, I reckon, another month or so. In fact, we've just got the starting of that starting to swell, so I'm actually going to remove that wire right now. We've definitely got a little bit of mark going on in there, so you know, that's probably just over 2.5 months worth of time. So I'll just get the rest of that wire off. It's held its shape, which is the main thing. And as you can see, just there, just getting a little bit of marking right in the base there. This, where it is here, that'll be fine. But this is when you've got to be careful, right at the base as of where you're going to get the most growth, closer into the trunk. And you really don't want a big horrible mark there. That will probably heal over quite nicely. And then here on this side, again, there's a light indentation, but that too will probably heal quite nicely. So I'm glad I got the wire off. There we go. Don't want anything in the crotch there. And take it off there. There's your shape, which means here probably don't want it to become the height. I want it half the height, so let's just take that off there. So this is very, very early stages. I'm just trying to find a basic structure for it, and it may well be that in the late winter, when I can see the buds, I'll bring that back even further. Let's have a look at the other hornbeam, shall we? I wired it up at the same time. And this is another of those ones. Again, they were bought in 2016 as 2-year saplings. I really didn't think too much about how I was going to develop them, and the end result was they didn't. So, you know, I've learned a lesson there. I do need to think and know where I'm going and what direction, whether it be planting beds, whether it be pruning down low. I mean, this is going to develop nicely. Thickness of the trunk, primary branching coming off it. looking good. I've just got to develop something up here. It won't be any taller than this, and then the whole lot will proportionally grow thicker over the years, very slowly. So first of all, same issue, got the wire on there. Going to get the wire off because I know that's starting to scar. But we probably want to bring that right back. The branch there. I'm not going to wire it because I've got a branch there. So yeah, let's do that. Leave that there. Just shorten these shoots off a little bit. This one here really isn't going to go there. So we'll get rid of that. If you look here, we've got a tangle of branches here. And sometimes I love to do things like that. And if you look in nature, you get these trees that get their branches that go all over the place, tangled, all in their search for light. That's what I'm doing there. So I am trying to sort of mimic nature a little bit. But let me finish this and I'll show you when it's done. Okay, well that's as far as I'm going to go. You can probably see the lines I'm looking at there. I am interested to see how this bud's probably going to lose. Probably need to bring that down. I need to do that now. Chances are that'll come down even lower, so that this will then form stuff a little bit more over here, and this will be a lower branch. Taking off the stump a little bit more. Interesting, but yeah, so that's European Hornbeam. Should we look at one more thing? Just one more. Now, believe it or not, this is one of my Chinese elm cuttings, and quite a number of them I just left in a nursery bed and just ignored them. Pulled them out a couple of years ago, and they really are just sticks with lots of growth all over them. And do you know what? I'm going to prune this right back, and should we have a look and see what's at the base of it? Because that's one thing I will say about Chinese elm. These are one of the ones that just keep on budding, like fikes or whatever. You can pretty well prune them through the growing season, and they'll keep putting out new buds and stuff like that quite quickly. So should we find out what's actually going on under this? Because I have no idea. It's now itching my ear, by the way. As you can see already, you can start to see what we've actually got. We've got actually a little bit of branching here and here, through here, and that's the process. By cleaning up this, you can start seeing what's here. We can give it a twist around, have a little look-see at it, and decide which branches are not going to be part of it, and which branches we just want to continue to let grow out to get thicker and stronger. It's gone. Shorten these, which means that one probably needs to get shortened to there. Hey, it's got a long way to go, but it's definitely come a long way from what you saw probably 5 minutes ago, and I bet you never even saw that's what's sitting in there. And it's definitely the one thing I'd say to you: always keep an eye on your cuttings, because you can if you leave it too late, sometimes the faults that develop are pretty difficult to repair. This one I've got to it in time. There's another great Chinese elm sitting in there, and that's going to be fun to develop. I've got another 20 or 30 of mixed species to get on with, so if you've liked this, big thumbs up. Please share, subscribe, but otherwise enjoy your bonsai. Happy bonsai and God bless. Cheers.